Hello and welcome to another Moonstone report. This one I finished building all my Wave 2 stuff, so I thought I'd give a little bit of feedback about how it was building these guys, particularly the fairies. There were a lot of guys online talking about how difficult they found their fairies to build, so I thought I'd talk a bit about how I managed it, because you can see they're all built, they're all done. We'll start off with the easy stuff. So Kaufman was obviously a doddle, he's all one piece, so his slot for his base, the metal belt part to his foot is a bit smaller than the slot, so as you can see I put some green stuff in just to attach to that. The gold bags are just stuck on, that's easy. These guys are dead easy, they fitted together really well, they're all resin so they're really light, there are no problems there. I'm interested to know why their heads are different colours from the rest of them, but anyway, they fit together really easily. Most of these guys were pretty easy. I mean, Gimbal's only one piece, he's a two pieces. He's a two pieces, I think. He's a two pieces. The only thing I'd say with him, because his arms and handle of his pick are all one piece. So to make it easier, you need to pull the arms apart slightly, slot it into the bottom of the pick, and then attach the arms. The only one that was tricky really with the gnomes was Billy. So what I did to make it easier, he comes in several bits, so I'm going to put this down like that, so I can show you easily. So this bit and the middle part of his body are all one piece, then the head, and then Billy comes in, I think it was two pieces, yeah, the sword arm and the head definitely separate. So the sword arm, sorry, with the body is separate, so I think it's three pieces for that and three pieces for Billy. So I glued the back part of the body and the middle part of the body together, and with a bit of green stuff as well, because it's quite a big join. Left it to completely dry, so about 2 hours, completely set. Then I glued all of that to the base again. As you can see, hopefully, there's a bit of green stuff on there as well, to kind of wedge it in. And I propped him up against something so it wasn't tipping at all. Lots of super glue. And again left it for about an hour because it's quite heavy by this point. Completely clear, and you can see now it doesn't really move at all. Then I can glue everything else on. Everything else was easy after that. Goat's head was easy. His head and body, they were all easy. Again, tiny bit of green stuff, I think. It just helps hold it together while the super glue sets. That's the main thing. So that's them. Like I said, they were fairly straightforward. These guys, they weren't too bad. I mean, look, like I said, a lot of comments online about how difficult these guys were to build. So I'll start with the easier ones first. So Wasp, he was pretty easy. I actually realised I've missed a bit there to cut out. So bottom part of his body and most of his body is all one piece, including the spears. The only separate bits are his wings, his arm, and his head. Wings, arm, doddle, just glue them straight in. The head was a bit trickier because the fitting was a bit odd. So I put a little bit of green stuff on his head to get him in better, but he was basically pretty straightforward, and he was really easy to glue to the base. That was no problem. Freya, I thought she was pretty straightforward, to be honest. I fit together really well. These three bits are all different bits. This one has 2 contact points. That was absolutely no green stuff, just super glue. And that bit, again, that was doddle. It's got a nice big contact point, fitted really well. Just put some super glue, held it for a minute, and it just stayed. Freya comes as all one piece, and then her wings are separate. So she's easy. She goes down into the middle of that and then glues in. I did put a little bit of green stuff in just to hold her in place, otherwise she just wobbles a little bit. But then she was easy. The wings were a bit trickier. They didn't quite fit at the back. Tiny little gap, which to be quite frank, you expect in any metal model, you expect a few gaps. I've not built a single metal model in my life without having a few gaps in it. So I did put a tiny bit of green stuff there, but the good thing is when you bring it round, it rests on these 2 bits. So you put glue there as well. So then it was easy. You just hold it there again for a minute and it's set. You just leave it somewhere to dry, no problem. I do, however, with her, I'm already regretting gluing her together completely before painting, because I am not getting a paintbrush down there. But hey ho, it'll just be dark down there. Okay, so Freya was pretty easy. Let me think who was next. I'm going to end with the hardest one. So Butterfingers, he was quite straightforward. I love the ways they've got resin trees, and they fit on the bases absolutely perfectly. They're even tilted in the right places, so they lean over the edges properly. The bases are just brilliant. So he came as, so that the resin bit is one piece, just glue it on, no problem, and it dries really quickly through resin because it actually soaks into it. He comes as 3 pieces. He comes as body. This one arm here is a separate piece. This one arm here, separate piece, and the wings. So what I did is I don't know if you can see it. As you can see, it might be a bit bright on this light. If I turn the light down anymore, you'll be able to see a thing. Focus. There we go. Tiny bit of green stuff on his feet, and there was a good contact point behind the feet and to the branch. So a little bit of green stuff, super glue, just held it there for a minute, and it stayed. Again, as with Billy, let that dry first. So I let that dry for about half an hour. Then the arm and the wings were really easy because they're really small and light, so they glue together no problem. Next one, Tito, my new favourite model, I've decided. Focus, there we go. I'm going to have to put a little bit of liquid green stuff in between the 2 body parts, but that was my fault. I put too much green stuff, solid green stuff in between. It created too much of a gap, but I didn't want to pull it apart again. So same thing with her. I glued the legs to the tree first. Tiny bit of green stuff, no problem with the. Actually, she's got a nice big contact point actually, because it kind of goes up to her ankle. You can see. Oh, focus, you see me. Focus. Nope, not gonna focus. There we go, a bit better. That's quite easy. Then you just glue top of body on, which is actually the body and her arm. So that's all another piece. That was fairly straightforward. I wonder if I just going to pull the light out a little bit, see if the view is better because it looks very bright on my screen. There we go. And then the wings actually were fairly straightforward. Tiny bit of green stuff. There's a nice big contact point all down her back and the part of this arm. So he's pretty good. He's pretty solid. Next one was Silver Tongue. He was a bit trickier. So what I did with him, I glued both the arms on, then glued him to the branch. Oops, I'm looking at the model and not the camera. I glued the arms on first. They're really easy because you got a contact point on the arm and a contact point on the leg that you can use. So, and you can see there. So that was fairly straightforward. The difficult thing with him is just the pieces are so small. So the arms are absolutely tiny. So it's just being able to manipulate tiny little pieces. So it depends on your fine motor skills really. So then I glued all that to the tree. Same thing with the other two. Tiny bit of green stuff. And stuck it on. And again, waited for a bit. Probably about half an hour or so. So what I did is I started doing one of these guys. Then moved on to one of the easy ones for a bit. Then came back to one of these guys. So then his wings were easy actually. Because I got contact point here. And I glued it ever so slightly to the end of this bit of branch here. So it glued on really easily. So the trickiest one was Fencer. He was quite tricky. That's why I'm kind of, he's pretty much the reason I'm doing this video, because I found him quite tricky, so I wanted to share how I got him to work. So I kind of copped out a little bit. So he comes as, well, the tree is one piece. He comes as 4 pieces. The main part of the body, this arm and the 2 wings are also separate. So what I did is I glued him to the tree branch as normal with green stuff, but it kept rolling down. And I just thought it would be really flimsy. So I've actually made him so he's just about touching the tree there. And I glued him to that too. And it's completely solid. Doesn't move whatsoever. The arm glues on really easily. The wings were the trickiest bit actually. So what I did was, with this wing, it's glued to his body with a tiny bit of green stuff. And then it's just touching this branch. Just ever so slightly. And that is enough of a good contact point to hold it there. So the last bit was this last wing here. So what I did with this, again, tiny bit of green stuff. I mean, absolutely tiny, like pinhead tiny bit of green stuff and super glue. held it there. So I held it, literally just held my finger under this, holding it in place. And then when it's starting to set, you can rest him like that. And it just stays there. Once your super glue is starting to dry, you can do that. And what you sometimes do, the models before, is I rested other models either side of it just so that it can't move, and then you just don't move at all and leave it. And as you can see, he's done. So he was the trickiest one, but you know, I managed to do it with my massive ham-fisted hands. So yeah, and they do look absolutely fantastic. I mean, I was bowled over by the humans and the goblins, but Jesus, these fairies, man. I am excited about. I'm excited about painting these, and I like painting, but it's not always something that I relish, and I am super excited about this painting. So yeah, there we go. About to have a battle jack on this board, which you will also see soon. So thanks a lot for watching, and see you next time.